Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the dramatic and surprisingly dead-even rivalry between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Angels. We're going to crunch tonight's betting odds, and then we'll explore a massive blockbuster trade rumor that could literally alter the trajectory of both of these franchises.
But okay, we have to start with the absolute chaos that capped off last night's 3-2 Angels victory. I mean, it happened in the most painful way imaginable for St. Louis. A really tightly contested game didn't end with some heroic swing of the bat. Nope. As you can see, it ended with a painful thud, giving the Angels a wild walk-off win just by taking a pitch to the body. So here is our agenda for today. We'll start with that walk-off thriller, look at their head-to-head history, break down tonight's matchup and odds, give you the betting prediction, and then wrap things up with that blockbuster trade rumor. All right, Section 1, a walk-off thriller, last night's late-inning drama. Let's break down exactly how the Cardinals let that late lead slip away in Anaheim, because the final moments of yesterday's game were just pure chaos. So picture this. St. Louis sends in all-star closer Riley O'Brien in the ninth. Now, remember, he entered the game tied for the National League lead in saves, but the Angels sparked a huge rally. Vaughn Grissom laces a clutch, game-tying RBI double right off the right field wall. Fast forward to the bottom of the 10th. After an intentional walk to Josh Lowe loads the bases, Jo Adell takes 3 straight balls before getting hit by a pitch, literally forcing in the game-winning run. Just a brutal way to blow a save. And you know what's really crazy about all that late-game drama? It totally eclipsed 2 absolute gems on the mound. Kyle Leahy was fantastic for the Cardinals, giving up just 1 earned run over 6 innings of work. And on the other side, José Soriano threw his best game since early May. He struck out 7 batters over 7 really strong innings. But because of the bullpen implosion, both of these brilliant starts ended up as no decisions. Talk about wasted gems, right?
Moving on to Section 2, head-to-head history, a historical dead heat.
So let's zoom out for a second and look at the broader historical context of this interleague matchup. Get this. Over their 28 all-time regular season meetings, these two franchises are tied perfectly. 14 wins for St. Louis, 14 wins for Los Angeles. It literally does not get any more evenly matched than that. But if you look a little closer at the biggest blowouts, it paints a slightly different picture. The Cardinals actually own the top 3 largest margins of victory in the history of this rivalry. That includes an absolute 10-run thrashing back on July 3, 2013, where they won 12-2. They also boast a pair of 7-run victories. The Angels' biggest blowout, by comparison? Well, that was just a 6-run win, way back in 2007. Now here's a crazy piece of trivia for you. Surprisingly, despite both of these teams having incredibly rich championship histories and super passionate fan bases, they've never actually crossed paths in the postseason. No way, right? They've only ever battled it out in regular season interleague play. It definitely leaves you wondering what an October clash between the Birds and the Halos would actually look like. All right, let's pivot to Section 3. Tonight's matchup and odds. Hot weather, high stakes. So, on the bump for tonight's game in Anaheim, the Cardinals are hoping Matthew Liberatore can outduel Walber Arena. Arena boasts a significantly better ERA right now, sitting at 2.88 compared to Liberatore's 5.00. However, Liberatore actually holds a slight edge in the strikeout department, bringing 88 punchouts to tonight's contest compared to Arena's 78. St. Louis desperately needs Liberatore to hold down the Angels' lineup tonight to snap their 3-game road skid. When you look at the betting odds for tonight, they show St. Louis is the slight favorite with a money line of -114. But the underlying stats reveal a really clear path to victory here. Basically, if the Cardinals can simply string together some hits, their win probability absolutely skyrockets. They are an impressive 36-16 when recording at least 8 hits in a game. Furthermore, the Angels are a dismal 21-43 when they allow a home run. So if the St. Louis Bats wake up tonight, they have a massive statistical advantage.
Which brings us to Section 4, the betting prediction, finding the edge.
So, how should we actually approach betting on this matchup based on all this data? Well, analytically speaking, the model is leaning heavily towards St. Louis. The Cardinals have a major overarching pitching edge, ranking 12th in MLB ERA compared to the Angels down at 23rd. Plus, the Angels' lineup is just highly prone to striking out. They rank 29th in the entire league with a staggering 951 Ks so far. Because of this, the recommendation here is to take the Cardinals' money line. The projected model predicts a 5-4 victory for St. Louis.
And as for the total runs, the over-under for tonight is set right at 9.0. And honestly, the experts absolutely love the under for this one. Here's why. Neither team is hitting for much power right now. Both squads rank pretty low in total home runs, and they both have fairly underwhelming slugging percentages. When you combine that lack of explosive offense with the Cardinals' pitching advantage to suppress the Angels' scoring, betting the under on 9.0 runs looks like the smartest play on the board for sure.
Finally, Section 5. A blockbuster trade rumor. The cost of a pennant push. Let's look at the long-term future and a franchise-altering trade rumor currently brewing between these two front offices. We talked about him a minute ago, but could last night's Angels starter, José Soriano, actually be the knight in shining armor for St. Louis? The Cardinals are clinging to an NL wildcard spot, and they desperately need starting pitching depth. Soriano is a prime, controllable target who flashed some serious AL Cy Young chatter earlier this season. That makes him incredibly valuable to a team looking for a reliable arm well beyond just this October. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Prying a controllable ace like Soriano away from the Angels is going to cost an absolute haul. The Angels really don't have many building blocks right now outside of Mike Trout, so the asking price is steep. We are talking about St. Louis having to surrender 3 highly touted prospects currently dominating the minors. That's Baez, a top 50 prospect in all of baseball who is already raking in AAA, Roby, a top 10 prospect in the Cardinals system, and Motts, a top 30 left-handed pitching prospect. It's just a massive package to give up. So as we wrap up this explainer, I've got to leave you with this provocative question. Cardinals president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, was brought in specifically to be a rebuild artist. Should he really risk his carefully crafted rebuild, parting with the very farm system he's worked so hard to put together, just to mortgage top prospects for this current wildcard push? Basically, is one single shot at October worth giving up the future of the franchise? It's the ultimate front office dilemma. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and enjoy tonight's game.